I was curious if you had any response to James Carville. I'm sure you've seen some of what he said. And he was sort of, I'll read you some of it. He said, it talks about he called it the faculty lounge issue. They come up with a word like Latinx that no one else uses, or they use a phrase like communities of color. I don't know anyone who speaks like that. We have to talk about race. We should talk about racial injustice. What I'm saying is we need to do it without using jargony language that's unrecognizable to most people, including most black people, by the way, because it signals that you're trying to talk around them. This is, quote, too cool for school, et cetera. What do you make of his critique of some of the progressive messaging? And I'm not saying this is a critique of you, the individual here, but you see where he's going.
Yeah, well, I'm a person of color and I identify with people of color. I think we have to listen to people of color across the country who certainly like us to use the words black, brown, Latinx, indigenous. I mean, these are words that mean something to those of us that are in these communities. And I think that it is important that we continue to use clear language. But Latinx is a term that is very important to a lot of Latinos. It doesn't mean that we have to use it in every situation, every circumstance. But as a brown woman in America, as an immigrant woman, I like it when people call that out. And I don't mind doing what the polling says is popular as well, which is to say white, black, and brown. You know, that message, Chuck, tests better than not talking about race. So I do agree with him that we need to talk about race, but I just completely disagree that that's a so-called politically correct thing, or that we, people of color, don't like the term persons of color. Just disagree with that.
Another issue that the president's not going to touch on, and it gets back into this.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.